Hey everyone, it is late at night and I am Norman. I recently got yet another swatch as a birthday gift. And the swatch that I got is the Massa. This is a piece that looks an awful lot like my wife's women's swatch. So now we have two watches that kind of match one another. Yes, I'm kind of copying her. Tonight we're going to do a full review of this watch, so let us begin. Alright, so here is my brand new swatch. It's nice and subdued and kind of Bauhaus style. If you're a longtime viewer of this channel, you may recognize this font. It is actually identical to another swatch that I got as a gift. This one was given to me by my wife, and the black dial one was given to me by my mother-in-law. But yeah, I love the font on these, like the 7 and the 4, so great. My interest in this watch actually came from my wife's watch, which she is still wearing. She has been wearing it every single day since she got it, and she wears it to work, and she's a hairstylist, so that thing really takes a beating and comes into contact with lots of chemicals and water, and so far it's doing okay. I'll have to do a future video putting this one and hers side by side, but I really like the clean dials on these. They aren't fun like some of the other swatches, but they're really nice looking. So this has a matte finish strap on it. It's somewhat soft and flexible. Some of the swatch straps, especially the transparent ones, are really stiff and not so comfortable to wear. Now I might take this off and put the rubbery strap that I got for $5, I think it was, because that strap is really nice. That one is a soft silicone. I need to get a couple more of those. It's actually one of the nicest swatch straps I've ever seen, and it was dirt cheap. But this one's not too bad. You see the standard swatch lugs there. These are friction fit pins, so you just push on them with the pin or a swatch bar removal tool. And it helps if you have some small needle nose pliers to catch it on the other end and pull it out. Being brand new, the battery hatch, of course, is in great shape. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, you'll notice that these notches are different than the vintage ones. There isn't a notch right near the lugs here. That's the one that always goes bad. If you look at this one, for example, this is decaying right here. And see how close that is? Also, these are much smaller notches in these older ones. This is the one that just goes bad pretty much all the time. I was looking at all my older swatches and they're all either cracked or actually broken off there. But this is the first time I've really taken a close look at these newer ones, and it looks like they might last longer than those vintage ones. We will find out as time goes on. Very interesting. Alright, so let's see what it's like using the tiny little swatch crown that we have here. Of course, these are quartz, so you don't have to mess with it much. This one doesn't have a date, so basically twice a year with daylight savings. Even though it's tiny and tough to get a grip on, it's pretty easy to use it. These do not hack. We'll push this back in. Yeah, it clicks in and out pretty well. Very nice. I love the crystals on swatches. They're box crystals. And this one, like the light dial version of this that I have, appears to have a slightly taller crystal than the vintage ones. That's cool. And this swatch, unlike my light dialed one, actually has lume on the hands. So let's take a look at that. Charge that up. And there they are. Swatch lume is not so great. I remember that from when I was young and swatches were fairly new. Yeah, you could see it fading there. Kind of useless. It's just about gone already. It's kind of like having vintage lume, so not much point having any lume on here at all, but it's there. As for the specifications on this watch, this is the Swatch Massa, the S0288100. The case size is 34 millimeters. The case height is 8.75 millimeters. The lug to lug is 39.2 millimeters. The lugs are 17 millimeters. The crystal is acrylic, plastic like the rest of the watch. And the water resistance is 30 meters. Alright, let's get some wrist shots. Alright, so let me take off the Seiko chronograph that was a gift to the channel. That is so cool. I like that dark blue dial. And even though this isn't a piece that I would normally wear, those Daytona looking subdials are really cool. So let me take this off and we'll see what the swatch is like when you're wearing it. And here is the Swatch Massa on my 55 millimeter wide wrist, 7-inch diameter. That is a great looking swatch. I like the little pops of color in there. And that seconds hand is very interesting. It's painted black so it blends in with the dial, but the counterweight has some green on there to match the text. And then you can see the red markers there at the hours. It's very cool. My light dial swatch also has some pops of color. Yeah, these are really cool swatches. That looks nice. A Bauhausy swatch. Very cool. And these new Gents swatches are fairly reasonable. They're under $100. I think this one retails for around $75. That's really not that bad. These actually do last quite a while. I mean, there are some from the 80s and 90s that are still floating around and still running fine. Pretty wild. Yeah, I love this thing. So there you have it, my great Bauhausy Massa swatch. Now I own two of these somewhat subdued, somewhat Bauhausy swatches. So I can go with a black dial if I like, or a cream dial. Perfect. Thanks for watching.